Ha guys, let's get more news about Warriors, but first don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Steph Curry makes pledge to Warriors after Klay Thompson's exit. The Golden State Warriors lost Klay Thompson in free agency this summer, but they're never going to lose Stephen Curry, or at least probably not. That was the message Curry sent to the Bay Area and Dubs fans everywhere during an interview with Vincent Goodwill of Yahoo Sports on Sunday, July 7th, while training for the Olympics with Team USA in Las Vegas. "I can clearly say I want to be a Warrior for life. That's always been my goal," Curry said, "and I'm saying that sitting in this chair right now. But like you said, life, and especially life in the NBA, it is a wild environment and things change quickly. The league has changed quickly, so we're trying to adapt and evolve. I'll let everybody know if that changes, but right now of course the goal will always be to finish my career with one team." Curry is partaking in the media rounds ahead of Team USA's trek to Paris and potentially a gold medal in men's basketball, and nearly every time he sits down with a reporter the topic of Thompson inevitably comes up. Such was the case when Curry joined Steve Kerr, both the head coach of the Warriors and the head coach of the US Olympic basketball team this summer, for an interview with Malika Andrews of ESPN. "Man, we talked about it a lot, the journey we've been on." Curry said, "We would have loved to maintain the core and finish out together, but we obviously understand the league and things change. Having Klay head on to Dallas, it's tough. It's something I never imagined would be a reality, but you want him to be happy, you want him to enjoy the game of basketball. It does suck losing Klay, there's no two ways around it, but we have to be able to celebrate what we accomplished, and then we've got to move on." Curry and Thompson played together for the entirety of the latter's 13-year career to this point, calling Golden State home for all of those seasons together. They earned 6 trips to the NBA Finals as well as 4 championship rings. Replacing Thompson in the Warriors lineup may not be a one-man job. The Dubs acknowledged as much by making 2 significant backup additions following Thompson's decision to pull up stakes for the defending Western Conference champion Mavericks. The franchising to Anthony Melton and Buddy Hield, both most recently of the Philadelphia 76ers, to join Curry and second-year player Brandon Podmski in the rotation. Melton is a high-level defender who averaged 11.1 points, 3.7 rebounds, 3.0 assists and 1.6 steals last season with the Sixers. Per Basketball Reference, he also shot 37.9% from behind the three-point line on 5.4 attempts per contest across 2 years in Philly. 115 games. Hield, meanwhile, is an offensive specialist with the same top skill as Thompson, shooting lights out from three-point range. Over his 8-year career, Hield has averaged 15.5 points per game, a figure buoyed significantly by shooting at a 40% clip from deep on 7.6 attempts per game. A look at Buddy Hield's contract. Specifics: there can be no replacing Klay Thompson, but the Golden State Warriors did about as well as they could on that front, agreeing to in trade with sharpshooter Buddy Hield shortly after the 2024 NBA free agency period got underway. While the basics of the contract were quickly reported, we now have the full details of the contract thanks to Spot Track and our good buddies who run the Warriors subreddit Twitter account. Hield's first 2 seasons will pay him exactly $18 million, combined with just over half of that coming in the second year of the deal. A potential third year of the contract is only partially guaranteed if the Warriors pick up the option. Hield will make just over $9.6 million. However, the Warriors can opt out of the third year and pay Hield a $3 million buyout. Similarly, if Hield stays on the Warriors through 3 years, a similar situation will play out in the 4th year. Per Spot Track, the Warriors can opt out of Hield's roughly $10.1 million 4th year, for about $3.1 million in both the Third and fourth years. Those option dates for the Warriors are the day after the draft, though as we just saw with Chris Paul, the two sides can mutually agree to push back the date. Hield will also have a player option for that fourth and final year, and that deadline is June 29, 2027, so in essence both he and the Warriors will have to want him back for the 2027-28 season at that price point, as either side can opt out in some form or fashion should Hield stay on the Warriors for all 4 seasons. He'll enter unrestricted free agency in the summer of 2028, though the Warriors will retain his bird rights, meaning they can go over the salary cap to retain him. Paul George opens up on almost being traded to the Warriors. Paul George will suit up next season for the Philadelphia 76ers in the Eastern Conference after leaving the Los Angeles Clippers as a free agent. The Warriors tried trading for George before he hit free agency, with the new 76ers forward revealing how close the deal was to being done and how he wanted to play for the Warriors. That was a real thing. It was close to being done. From what I was being told, they were expressing how much they wanted me there and how I could fit next to Draymond, Steph, Pods, Kaminger, Wiggins. They didn't know how or what package was going to be that to trade for me Looney was going to be the, so it was very intriguing and was an opportunity to stay close to home on the West Coast. George remarked on the basketball fit of both his current situation alongside a former MVP before saying the Clippers and Warriors just couldn't come to an agreement. It was a win-win. Steph is a unicorn, a one-of-one player. Joel is a unicorn, a one-of-one player, so it was like a good situation to be in the middle of. Ultimately the deal didn't go through. The Clippers didn't want a certain trade deal the Warriors were willing to give, and it just didn't happen, but it was close. It would have been dope, man. I was looking forward to it. If it happened, I would have been a lot closer and probably would have still lived in La. George averaged 22.6 points, 5.2 rebounds and 3.5 assists last season. The Warriors wanted him badly, with Draymond Green even doing a podcast episode to mock the Clippers for refusing to take assets back for George and letting him walk free based on the names that George mentioned. It's unclear what the Clippers ultimately offered to the 76ers if they didn't include either Wiggins, Kaminger or Pods. The Clippers understandably had very little incentive to do the deal. Instead they used the space from Klay Thompson leaving to create space and sign the likes of DeAnthony Melton, Kyle Anderson and Buddy Hield. Paul George went into detail of his split with the Clippers, discussing his contract negotiations over the season. They got off to a rough start with a 2-year $60 million offer which George felt insulted by. He agitated for a 3-year $150 million deal with a no-trade clause, something he failed to get without a no-trade clause and less money. George thought it was better to leave for a new situation. It sucks that it had to get to this point, that we couldn't get this figured out a lot sooner, but now we're at the end of the year and it's 3 years 150, and I'm like, alright, we're in the ballpark now, we can have a conversation. Still, it still wasn't about the money, because when I went back to have the negotiation at the end of the year one presented the 150 no trade, George believes the Clippers era was over due to their lack of collective health. We couldn't remain healthy as a unit, but I thought I did enough to earn that they didn't want to do it, so it was just a stalemate. We came to a stalemate and ultimately it was like, alright, that ship has sailed. The 34-year-old swingman will need to deliver at the highest level to give the 76ers a chance at contention in the East. And you fan, what do you think of the situation of Paul George? Leave your opinion in the comments.